What is nature's impact on you?
I grew up in the woods of Maine.
I grew up digging trails in my backyard, in the woods, around my house.
Yeah, I grew up mostly hiking.
Mostly just like the hike.
I love everything.
I grew up sailing and skiing.
Cross-country skiing, snowboard.
Skiing in the wintertime.
And that became backpacking and winter hiking, which became rock climbing, backcountry skiing.
And skateboarding as well.
As well as numerous other things, mountain biking, water sport.
I have a fairly unique connection with it just because I spent so much time there as a kid.
So yeah, I'm pretty deeply connected personally.
Nature's impact on us is clear, but what about our impact on nature? The same gear that puts us outdoors puts the outdoors at risk. Old hiking boots? Waste. Popped bike tire? Waste. Last season's raincoat? Waste. Your leaking kayak? Waste. The skis you've outgrown? Waste. How is this happening in the outdoor industry?
No one is doing the deep research on the material layup of those skis and where everything was sourced and how it's built and how the workers are treated, and we rely on the industry a little to do that research for us, especially with the advent of lighter and lighter gear. Usually, you're sort of walking this line between how light can I make it and have it last for at least a few seasons. And some things are amazing. Titanium cookware will last forever, and it's super light. That's different than, like you said, your plastic raincoat that's going to be done in 2 seasons, and now you got to buy another plastic raincoat.
You don't ever really want to sort of exasperate the capitalistic mentality of people and make them buy new things, but in order to make money, you have to stay relevant in the industry.
If we went through our store tomorrow and culled all the products that have some sort of ecological or a decent amount of ecological detriment, there wouldn't be much on the shelves.
So we initially started out with the chinchilla fleece, which everybody wears and knows, as a climbing fleece, but initially it was made with a product that wasn't very environmentally friendly. Essentially, crude oil is what it came down to. Anything plastic comes from oil, from one way or another, and over the years, we've also realized that they cause issues with the water systems.
We're finding microfibers, polyester, petroleum-based microfibers in the fish we eat and in the environment. So these things are breaking down to small components, but then being absorbed. And so the wool industry has really sort of kicked in to combat some of that. So we're seeing now, most people are preferring wool-based layers over polyester-based layers. And an interesting side to that is that the wool definitely, the lighter wool doesn't hold up quite as long. So there is a need to cycle that through more often. But I'm guessing that, overall it's definitely a more sustainable material to go with. Obviously it's natural fiber.
Throwing out gear is always wasteful, but what if your life hangs in its grasps? Like, let's say, climbing.
We do an inspection, so it's not really a time thing. Some areas the rope rubs on stuff more than others, so we do visual inspections constantly. Every Friday we just go through a certain portion until we circle through, so everything's looked at within a month or two, and then replaced as needed. If it's rubbing against stuff, it's that's the main thing that causes it, or just the tying and untying of the knot will make it wear down. Shoes, it depends on what you're climbing on. They can last anywhere from like 3 months to a year if they're used regularly. A more abrasive surface is going to tear through your rubber faster, and if you have not so hot footwork, it's going to get torn up quicker because you'll probably be dragging the toes of your feet around a lot. So you don't know if it's got sun damage, if there was chemical damage, and it's something that's holding your life within its grasp. So you want to know where it's been and how it's been treated so that you're not surprised in a very unfortunate way.
With all this waste, there has to be a solution.
I think everybody producing these things knows that if they can do something that speaks to conservation, they'll sell more product.
Most outdoor industry companies do their best to be as renewable as possible, because those are the people they're selling to, and they're without the environment doing well and these parks doing well, their business won't exist. So it's like they gotta care, or they will not have a business anymore.
If you come up with a really good business plan and you can do it right, like Patagonia, people are definitely buying from them because of that, strictly.
Certain strategies and sort of core goals that Patagonia use to design their clothing. So that sets them apart from other companies, I think, and they are very conscious about what they do to the environment. So we are constantly sort of creating new ways to be more environmentally conscious with the products that we make, and I think it's never been more prevalent than now, but it's always been part of the company. The Wornwear program evolved through a gap that they saw in the clothing life cycle, and they realized some people just don't use fully functional products anymore. And instead of them collecting dust in the closet or in the basement, they started this Wornwear trade-in program, which you can trade in any fully functional, good quality, condition Patagonia item for instant credit, and then that is then resold online. And it not only allows people to get credit, but it also opens the door for people that may not have been able to afford Patagonia initially, have an opportunity to buy it now because it's at such a discounted rate, and then sort of fully closes the life cycle of a product because it can be reused infinitely.
Alignment is clearly a mutual benefit for people trying to get into the outdoors at a low cost, making sure that stuff does another round before it hits the landfill. So that's a big one. We do in-store repairs to gear, so that's one way that we try to mitigate just buying something new.
But once the shoes wear down a little, there's services that do resoling. So they take rubber and add it on, so you don't have to get rid of the entire shoe, of the benefit of being better for the environment and better for your wallet. We buy some ropes from Sterling, and they have a rope recycling program. I have a staff member who's actually been making rugs out of old ropes. I know a gentleman, his name's Mark Heffley in Boston, who makes like all this furniture out of recycled ropes. So there's things you can definitely do with the ropes to give them a second life, for sure.
So the next step starts with you. Gear. Don't just repurpose it, don't just reuse it, but rediscover it.